Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 285 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation where we use female words. This would be October 12th if you're starting at the new year. Are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers? Changes are required in the minds of God's teachers. This may or may not involve changes in the external situation. Remember that no one is where she is by accident, and chance plays no part in God's plan. It is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the newly made teacher of God's training. There is, however, no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized. There are those who are called upon to change their life situation almost immediately, but these are generally special cases. By far, the majority are given a slowly evolving training program in which as many previous mistakes as possible are corrected. Relationships in particular must be properly perceived, and all dark cornerstones of unforgiveness removed. Otherwise, the old thought system still has a basis for return. As the teacher of God advances in her training, she learns one lesson with increasing thoroughness. She does not make her own decisions. She asks her teacher for her answer, and it is this she follows as her guide for action. This becomes easier and easier as the teacher of God learns to give up her own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing God's voice, is usually a fairly slow process, not because it is difficult, but because it is apt to be perceived as personally insulting. The world's training is directed toward achieving a goal in direct opposition to that of our curriculum. The world trains for reliance on one's judgment as the criterion for maturity and strength. Our curriculum trains for the relinquishment of judgment as the necessary condition of salvation. I've heard it said by a respected teacher of the Course that A Course in Miracles is something that takes place on the inside of the teacher. It is not really something you see from the outside. That's not to say there are not powerful effects. Indeed, the miracle is expected to be the fruits of adopting the principles. And it emphasizes that generally this is going to be a slow evolving, which is in alignment with the concept of gentleness, which is emphasized throughout the Course, perhaps because it is understood that the ego finding the Course frightening would be continually imagining things that are not gentle, things that are more of a cataclysmic nature in response to the principles that are being offered us, that we are being invited to receive. This course is all about what happens inside of our mind and how we respond to what seems to come back to us in the projected illusion, with the understanding that what comes back to us is an echo of what we sent out in the first place. And so we are adopting the practice of not sending out more harm by responding to an echo in a way that would send out more harm. So we are being taught to more and more send out that which blesses in each moment, whether what comes back to us seems pleasant or unpleasant. It is my understanding that by doing this, the dream becomes a happy dream. It becomes paradise. The more of us adopt this practice, where in each present moment we send out in our thoughts only that which blesses, never cursing anyone for any reason, never cursing any situation for any reason, never cursing any thought for any reason, responding to all that comes up in the present moment by realizing it is nothing and that only love matters and only our thoughts matter. And this passage explains that one of the reasons why the process is gradual is because in the process of realizing, we must give up our own judgment and check in with the divine, check in with love in absolutely every decision and follow that, the ego, finds this insulting. It flies in the face of conventional wisdom, which teaches us that our judgment is a thing to be proud of, that we hone it to be more and more accurate, more and more keen, and that it is a sign of strength and maturity in this world, the way it is set up. To give it up is running opposite to that. But the Course shows us that we've already given up our judgment to the ego. We have enslaved it to the ego willingly, for the ego does not respect our free will and our sovereignty. The ego does not wait for us to invite it. It just comes right in and co-opts our judgment. It hijacks it without asking for permission. It just does it. So we have a choice. We can give up our judgment to the ego, as we've been accustomed to doing in the past, or we can give it up to love. That is the choice. So rather than changing life circumstances, what is emphasized in today's passage? That relationships in particular must be properly perceived and all dark cornerstones of unforgiveness removed. Today's passage makes the bold claim that the relinquishment of judgment is a necessary condition for salvation. So if you're tired of hell, if you desire paradise, and paradise leads to heaven, we must relinquish our judgment to love, not to some nefarious outside controlling force. No, to love. Where do we find love? In our own hearts. That quiet voice. We must spend time in stillness to even hear it. We've become so accustomed to being numbed out, distracted, enticed by the shiny things around us in the illusion. The Course has us spending time in quietness, listening for that voice that is love. After reviewing what is the Holy Spirit found in show notes, we go on to lesson 285. My holiness shines bright and clear today. Today I awake with joy, expecting but the happy things of God to come to me. I ask but them to come and realize my invitation will be answered by the thoughts to which it has been sent by me. And I will ask for only joyous things the instant I accept my holiness. For what would be the use of pain to me? What purpose would my suffering fulfill? And how would grief and loss avail me? If insanity departs from me today and I accept my holiness instead, my mother, my holiness is yours. Let me rejoice in it, and through forgiveness be restored to sanity. Your child is still as you created her. My holiness is part of me, and also part of you. And what can alter holiness itself? Love just wants us to be happy. Our pain and suffering serve no purpose. Grief and loss serve no purpose. They do not avail us when we are ready to let go of insanity and accept our holiness. May we wake with joy, expecting but the happy things of God to come to us. Happy practicing.